Right, now usually I like to just get ahead and go ahead and just get into these types of videos because I don't want people to be confused about the story. But when it comes down to it, I gotta mention, like recently, we have gotten a lot of attention recently, mainly on Twitter, but a lot of attention regarding things of lolly and things of that sort of nature. And honestly, it's been pretty damn nice. Not gonna necessarily lie, it's been nice to actually receive notifications for once. And when it comes down to it, I just also want to quickly point out and say that when I was writing the last, or at least latest parts of the origin story for today's video, that junk got a lot of people reading it consistently. So when it comes down to it, I'm just like, well, back then we usually get like 100+ viewers to read this stuff. Now it's like 700, 800. So I'm just hoping that this ain't just a fluke of the moment with like the few tweets that, you know, it did come across that they probably seen. And when it comes down to it, hopefully this will just bring in more people to watch the story and just in general, just to, you know, get general interest in me and what we do, because that's like the main focus and main thing. Just wanting to point that out and put that out there. So yeah, that's all I really want to quickly say, and let's just get into the story. After a few days, Jay and Konako explored the rest of the school, and so Jay's just like, I think this is one of the few rooms we haven't checked so far. And so Konako is really not paying too much attention to him, but is thinking about her feelings in that moment from what happened last night. And so essentially I'm just like, Konako, you okay? And so she kind of just froze up, and again was kind of reminded about her own feelings about being excited by being around Jay for some reason. And so she quickly tried to brush it off, this entire feeling. She's just like, I'm fine, so let's just get going. So they reach the door of the unknown room, and so they go inside. And so when it comes down to it, they end up seeing the room was vastly different. And so Jay immediately knows what room this is. And so he's just like, oh wow, no way, this is Gene's office. And so Konako was like, this is strange, the door didn't match up with what's currently here. You know this place? And Jay's just like, it's from a game I played back then. And so Konako just looks at the books over there in the corner, and she's just like, those books, do you think they have anything about our current situation? And so Jay's just like, if anything, it's probably on matters associated with the world this room came from. And so he just sits on Gene's desk, right? Like he owns the damn place. And he's just like, still, Gene's office. Who knew the school had a room like this attached? And so as he's kind of just relishing in this damn room, Konako just straight up ignoring this man and just trying to think about Issei again because she misses this man. And so in her mind, she thinks about what would Issei say to her in this exact moment in time. And so Issei in her mind is like, what's wrong, Konako? We'll figure it out and leave this place. And so Konako just starts thinking about how she misses this man, but then suddenly her mind just turns to Jay again, and Jay in her mind is like, Konako, I always dreamed of being around you. This makes me happy. And so as soon as, you know, that whole dialogue in there in her head, she ended up getting more, you know, flustered about everything, but also getting real tired that Jay, for whatever reason, is just popping up in her brain for some type of reason. And so she's just like, I didn't want this. And so Jay's just like, Konako? And so Konako just goes completely off. And so she's just like, why are you making me go through this? It's your fault for bringing me here. And for what? To be yours? And so Jay just hella silent when it comes down to it. And so Konako's just like, all I want is to go back home to Issei and be with him. I love him more than I can ever love you. And so Jay's just getting heartbroken over this. He's like, Konako. And so she's just like, you're a creep. Just stay away from me in my heart. And so she just leaves the entire room, just leaving Jay feeling entirely sad, much less starting to cry to himself, honestly. So yeah, not a good start to this whole ass relationship, honestly. But we fast forward to the present time. Yes, because this is an origin story, we're actually having dialogue in the future. So later in time, sometime later in the damn story, you basically see Saki and Konako kind of having a chat in the library with some tea on the side. And so Saki's just like, I see. I never imagined you said all that to him then. I'm still not understanding why you felt that way. And so Konako was just like, I mean, things got better after that, but I still wasn't sure of our relationship until sometime later. Plus, I used to think he would take advantage of me. And so Saku's just like, even from my world, I know Jay isn't like that. If anything, he'd be the one being used first before anyone else. Do you still love Issei? And so Kaneko just like, no, but sometimes I do miss him. Back then in the beginning with Jay, he was always on my mind. He was a goal to me. I know he tried to hurt me when I lost my memories, when the safe haven was destroyed, but the smallest part of me still loves Issei. And so Saki just like, I'm guessing Jay doesn't know. And so Kaneko just kind of looked away. And so Saki just like, we'll never get away from our first. So I understand how you feel. And so Kaneko just like, sometimes I don't know if we are good enough for each other. And so the room kind of goes silent for a minute. And so Saki's just like, well, what happened after that? And so Kaneko just like, I didn't see him for 3 days after I said all that. While I tried to get him out of my mind, Lamine was there to pick his feelings back up again. So now we go to the next act and we go back to the past of the normal part of the story. And we see Jay kind of just trying to forget everything by sleeping on the couch and not necessarily trying to think about the things that Kaneko had said too much. And he's dreaming at this point. Man, it's literally just dreaming about certain different things. End up dreaming about a falling certain star going to a certain world. And immediately, you should know what that is. So anyway, he just basically wakes up and he's just like, Lamine? And so as soon as he said that, boom, Lamine pops into the world like that. And so Lamine just immediately confused. And she's just like, wait, Gene's office? Why am I back here? And so basically she just kind of looked confused. Jay kind of looking surprised too. And so she even looked at her chest and realized, oh, this is a little bit bigger than normal. And so Lamine just like, what's wrong with my body? And so Jay's just like, Lamine? You're here? And so he basically thinks to himself, he's like, did I summon her here on accident like I did with Kaneko? And so Lamine just like, who are you? Do you know me? And so basically, a little time has passed and Jay explained enough of the situation so she can get the gist of what's currently going on. And so Lamine just like, so you brought me here and don't know if there's a way out. Well, I have experience in staying in places longer than intended, so I'm not worried about that. By the way, how did you know about me? And so Jay really was going to tell her about, obviously what she is, where she come from, and all that type of stuff. But then a thought crossed into his head. Jay thought about the things that Kaneko said to him. So he decided to lie to Lamine about where she actually comes from, so she doesn't leave him like Kaneko did. So now you understand why in the future Lamine was pretty much pissed at Jay. So there you go on that one. But anyway, Lamine just kind of like, what's with that serious look? And so Jay's like, I saw you in a dream. You were going around in the stars and space and came crashing down to some city. When I woke up, your name was in my head, so I said it. I apologize for bringing you here. Also, I have zero idea why your boob is expanded. And so Lamine just like, oh, well, they are bigger than normal, but I'll have to get used to them. Anyway, it looks like a whole new adventure is just waiting for us, huh? So let's try to get to the truth of this world. And so Jay's just like, I'll do what I can to help too. And so Lamine just like, thanks. I'll be counting on you too. Oh, didn't you say another person was here too? And Jay's just like, yeah, she just left. I'll have to introduce you to her later. And so we go to the last act of the story, and essentially you see Kaneko just sitting outside in the city, kind of just sitting on this park bench, and she just kind of just frustrated and just irritated with the whole situation that she's in right now. So she closes her eyes and thinks about her man Issei again, and what would he say to her right now? And so in her mind, still, she's just basically imagine this scenario, but if Issei was here. So Issei is just like, don't worry about that clown. You're strong enough to get out of here. I'm waiting for you. And so basically Kaneko just like, yeah, you're right. And then she starts thinking to herself and she's just like, he is right. I can make it out of here once I know how, but why does that feel wrong to me? If I did leave, is it wrong to leave him here? Why do I feel so off without him? I don't even know him, and still. And so the whole world kind of faded around her, and again, Jay just pops up into her mind just like she just did with Issei. And so Jay's just like, I will do everything I can to protect you. I'll find a way to make you happy. And so Kaneko just questioning herself, she's just like, why? Why are you trying so hard? I'm not even real to you. So why do I care about you so much? And so, as soon as she said that, she does now realize a huge, powerful aura that's around Jay, that's just surrounding him for some weird ass reason. And essentially, she's drawn to it for whatever that aura is. And so, Jay just kind of is like, I care about you, Kaneko. And I know you do too. And so basically she starts sweating and tears kind of falling from her eyes because it's like something in her just basically awoken essentially. And so Kaneko repeated his words and she was like, I care about you? No, that's not true. It doesn't even cover how I feel. I don't care about you. I love you. And so essentially her eyes grew hearts and her whole body started to kick in because now she's in heat. And that's essentially where we at. So just to kind of, clear the detail, the reason why Konako has been on this high for Jay for whatever reason, even though she doesn't know who the hell he is and all that type of stuff, is essentially because her mating season, her internal instincts, her cat instincts is kicking in. And as far as that aura goes, I'm not going to super go into detail to explain it, but it is a good reason as to why people start leaning into why they like him. It's not the ultimate reason, it's not the ultimate way of, how you just go and like somebody, right? But it does help boosting the appeal towards that person. And in this case, it's the reason why Kaneko is so drawn into Jay. Not just because, of the aura, but she's also allowing herself in a way to feel some things, which is also what the other girls kind of do in the future. But we'll explain that a little bit more as time goes on and as the main story goes on. But yeah. And that's essentially what I really wanted to do for this one. Again, these type of stories are very easy to do and not necessarily like anything that should be super drastic and super long, and hopefully you just enjoy it overall because that's just kind of the main point. It's just supposed to be something that's not necessarily going to be taking too long and easy and more simpler to do than Kokatsu's story or the main one, at least JSX4. So that's just how that goes. So yeah, hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification way out. Also follow me on the socials and like to donate to the channel. Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, this is boy Jay, sign off. Have a blessed day.